Hey, what's going on, guys? Inglorious Gun here with another huge fucking match. I was kind of expecting there to be a bit more lull in terms of content with the Silver Ascension, but with this ranked match right here, we are officially in gold and feeling pretty good about it. Gold has been a different change, but not substantially, right? And I'll kind of get into that with another video I have planned coming up that definitely felt really fucking messy and was rife with mistakes, not only on my end, but, you know, it did call for certain adjustments and changes, and it did feel really rewarding, you know, when you do those things, and then before you realize it, like, the match is won, you got the round back. But that's all for a later video. For today, we had a pretty decent, not necessarily like a clean sweep, but it certainly wasn't a hard time pulling this last little bit of LP. I was kind of nervous. I was going to fall into that, like, luck of the draw purgatorial situation where you're on the precipice of getting your rank up and escaping whatever your prior tier is, but then as soon as you get that LP, you go on a losing streak or you're like 2 matches down, and then you're back in fucking silver and you're like, ugh, like I want to punch myself in the face. Like, what was this, you know, what was this intensive purpose and effort for if I only was set back? But that's to be expected with this kind of shit, right? And I don't know why I remember this, because I don't really hold Felix with like any type of philosophical resonance, and by Felix I'm referring to XQC. But I remember, like, in his Overwatch 2 or Overwatch days, he said that he liked getting D-ranked because it would provide him an opportunity to prove that he was whatever that concurrent rank that he lost was by achieving it again, if that makes sense. Like, if you're diamond, right, but then you keep getting sent back to plat, and that's just a concurrent thing where you're like, oh, you're always hitting diamond, but you're not really getting into diamond because you're losing immediately. That's a good indicator that you're not necessarily at the diamond level, right? But your willingness to continue and improve, and then the eventuality of getting that diamond rank and then moving forward, and then that next flag post being, you know, in the middle or towards the end of that rank ascension, is the ideal progression, right? So I subscribe to that as well in the event that I do lose. And I think just like playing League after so many years of just like getting beat the fuck down by that game or Dota or like other ranking systems, fighting games are really evident with this, but that's a little bit easier to stomach because that's entirely on your own self-performance. Obviously, it's just a proficiency measure, where this has like a lot more microcosmic kind of layers to it in terms of the team orientation and play. But yeah, dude, you just feel terrible, and it makes you want to like stop playing the game, which I always recommend. If you're at a point where you're playing this and you are frustrated, or it's actively like giving you fucking cortisol spikes, just like, dude, go take a walk, switch it up, go play something else, or just low-key like get out of your chair and go look out a window for a bit. I know that's stupid as fuck and it sounds very rudimentary, but disengaging in real life and giving yourself a breather to, you know, take a step back and realize, like, man, this is a form of entertainment, how I'm spending my free time. You know, there's nothing wrong with being competitive or being frustrated that you lost wanting to win, but don't let this like negatively affect you in any kind of way that is actively upsetting you and ruining your day and potentially leading you to project those feelings outwards to the people around you. But, you know, that's more of a sidebar kind of note. Here we are just facing a little contention, actually. I didn't realize that, like, with this first round we were doing kind of okay, but then now we're on this like attempted reclaim, and it's kind of crazy. You don't realize, like, we had another video that was capping out around this time frame, but for this, even though it's like a 2-round win, the back and forth was so intense that you know, we're still at the end of the first round. Like, this is a fucking brawl, right? Absolute insanity, but good fun all the same. Took a wipe there. I did not have the heals or the exit route that I needed to, but even then I'm sure I could have potentially sprinted and jumped out, but at that health level didn't seem feasible. But yeah, we are towards the end of this overtime right here. And, you know, I think I'm ultimately just trying to buy time for my team. Hence the dive. Obviously, diving into a 5-stack, not advisable. But under that situation, if, you know, potentially it can give your team enough time to use their mobility tools to get back on point and contest, you'd be surprised. You know, stranger things have happened. But now we're rolling into the second round. And now we're on point. And we're just going to try to, like, run this back, ideally. I was pretty disappointed that we lost that first round. It was incredibly frustrating. But, alas, this kind of shit happens, right? Just got to walk it off and then go from there. But, yeah, I don't know why I was wasting so much time with the Loki clones. Obviously, like, you want to do this. Like, single out the original copy. That way, you know, the utility of his clones is kind of null and void until he respawns. And even then, like, unless they're still active and not destroyed, he can pop a heal, or he can teleport there once he's in, like, sight line. So it's not that big of a benefit. But for me, I feel like a lot of my teammates in most games, right, you're going to see a commonality of what? Like, they're not going to hit Onks if there's an enemy Moon Knight. And with Loki's, like, no one attacks his healing spheres, right? The fucking, what is it, the the fucking orb from The Sims that I'm blanking on. That shit that appears when he pops his healing ability, right? A complete, utter disregard for attacking that whatsoever, even though, like, their health pool is only, I want to imagine, like, maybe 100. It's very small. Like, I think one clip of, like, Punisher's AR could probably rip through it. But just removing that AoE, or getting rid of Penny Parker's, like, droid bot, or whatever have you. These are such, like, intrinsic things to counter these heroes when you're playing them. Also, this Hella ult had me fucked up. But, we managed. But yeah, these are just, you know, I think cursory base kit understanding, even if you don't play these characters, you've played them against them enough, or with them, to kind of understand that, like, their maximum efficiency is contingent on these little buff areas, in addition to their healers and their team presence. But yeah, I mean, like, even the enemy team, as we saw previously in this clip, there was like 2 onks down, you know? No one was focusing on that shit. And I know it's easier said than done when you can't really apply the pressure to escape out of the choke that you're at and your team keeps staggering. But if I was to think of, like, what was the most marginal but kind of important sense of impact I can have while we're doing this little brawl, right? And, like, getting ourselves situated, it's to eliminate those factors and then create enough space that you can allow your vanguards or your DPSs to start diving in, picking off healers, and then you do the slow peel once health has kind of been removed out. But, you know, basic shit, left and right. I really got to look into changing the color preference in the replay model. Not that I dislike or it's confusing in the sense, like, it's still red versus blue, but I think between the mishmash of all these colors, it's very easy to get lost in the visual language of the video, right? Especially with all these, like, particle effects. But I always do this with his ult, like, because you have that concussive force. It's really cool for, like, people say to use it to, like, push people off the map, which I realistically am not in any kind of space area unless I'm hyper specifically towards an edge, right? Like on Yizgard on this first round. If I'm, like, near that health pack where Jeff would normally spit people out. Maybe I could do that, but otherwise I really like using Capsule to distance enemies from, like, the objective point if I can, or at least separate them from themselves so they're kind of, like, hyper focused on me since I am, you know, centered to them and actively engaging. But then that allows my team to kind of, like, do whatever the fuck they're doing if they're having a respective 1v1. But yeah, cleaning this up, nice little run back here, and we close out the second round, and then we're gonna roll right into the third round here. And yeah, ascend to the golden gods. You know, claim the throne room, lay down some shields and some punches and shit, and some charging stars, and go from there. But I guess while this last part of the ranked match plays out, we can kind of talk about you know, upcoming events with Marvel Rivals in particular, right? I think the Fantastic Four trailer is going to be dropping tomorrow, from what I saw, like on a press release today, which is super cool. We've known about Reed Richards, Sue Storm, and The Thing, all these other characters eventually coming, Johnny Storm, right? I'm really surprised Reed is a duelist and not a Vanguard, but I understand that The Thing is going to be, you know, the addition in that regard. I just kind of wish there were more tanks. I think the DPS roster is pretty decent as is, and not to say that certain characters wouldn't make sense as additions to that, but I also think conversely it's very easy to reconfigure some of these characters with a higher health pool and just minor changes to their kits to kind of like add that breadth of depth, because I love playing tank. I know a lot of people that don't, because they want to fucking play Spider-Man or like whatever their favorite DPS hero is. And this issue will only get exacerbated with their plans to continually add more duelists, right? Like, you know, people will still do the 2-2-2 layout, but I think since it has the largest pool, evening out that amount of healers and attackers, and then maybe adding like a drip feed of 1 or 2 additional duelists, or like I said prior, even pulling duelists that they have actively and then making them Vanguard archetypes would be way more preferable, and then they can add whatever fucking duelists they want. But I know Blade is going to be coming as well. I'm fucking stoked for that. I was surprised that like there's going to be this vampiric theme. I think Dracula might even... I feel like Dracula might not be a character, actually, because what I'm very perplexed by is the presence of Doom in the story, right? And like a lot of the concept art and the shit you unlock. And the whole existence of Marvel Rivals right now is conducive to like these two Dooms battling, right? But yet we don't have him in here. I know Ultron is coming, which is cool, right? But you would imagine Doctor Doom is going to be, you know, towards maybe season 2, I would hope. But, you know, there's so many characters like that. Like, they have all the Guardians, but, like, Drax isn't here. Or, who was I really, like, fucking geeked for? I would love Cable. I just want more X-Men characters, actually. Cable and Scott Summers. I know people really want, like, Nightcrawler and shit, or like I think Cyclops would be not Cyclops, the fuck is his name? I'm tripping. The guy that's made of steel that's in the Deadpool movies, and I'm just having a fucking utter brain freeze, but someone in the comments can remind me what a Colossus. Jesus, whew, that was gonna be embarrassing. But yeah, there's just so many other cool characters to add. I'm a huge Cable stan, so I just want that outfit in existence in this game. And is there anything more to say than that, you know? There's a lot of other characters too, presumptively, that I would imagine will make an appearance at some point or another. I feel like Daredevil is like a huge one, right? But that's a pretty large character. I'm intrigued to see how they would outline his kit, but that really goes for most of these characters. Like, at least from what we've seen of Reed Richards and stuff, they have already found really creative ways to kind of use the more cursory abilities of like the Invisible Woman, or, you know, and incorporate their other personality traits like Reed's intelligence, or, you know, using rubber elasticity in addition to his power, or using it as like a conduit for electricity, maybe with like a team up and shit. There's just a lot of creative avenues that the team can kind of follow in terms of integrating these additional heroes. And they're already blowing out the competition right out the fucking door. I think the fact that we're going to have so many characters just within the first respective content launch is insane. You know, it takes Overwatch like fucking 8 months, right? But I digress. Thank you guys for watching. It's good to be in gold, and y'all have a great day.